Hello to everyone. Good afternoon. We apologize for the delay. We were a bit delayed on the way here by a few heads of state. But the important thing is that we're starting now. And I'm very pleased that we're here with the Better World, Better Us event by Ant Group. Now, I understand that we have just screened the first video. So before I forget, let me introduce myself. My name is Jose. I'm with the IUCN Secretariat, and it is so wonderful to see all of you here today. But seeing as we have already watched the first video, I would actually like to begin by starting with the opening address by Dr. Gretel Aguilar, the Director General of IUCN. Okay, Gretel, the floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm very glad to see you all here because I imagine that you have been doing very long queues. So it is good to see that the room is with plenty of people. So thank you for being here. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow patrons of nature, I am honored to welcome you to the pavilion of IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, to join us in celebrating the launch of the Fight Plastic for Nature Action Initiative. This ambitious initiative aims to reduce plastic pollution in the land and ocean and is very timely because humanity is facing the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. Already, every year, millions of tons of plastic end up in our rivers, our seas, or our ecosystems. From there, they enter in the food chain and eventually enter in our bodies. Plastic can be found everywhere on this planet, including the most remote regions, from the polar ice caps to the high mountains of the Himalayas. It is clear that we need to act urgently, but I think that is something that everybody here knows. IUCN has long recognized this and began addressing this issue 10 years ago by targeting plastic pollution in the marine environment. We have used a science-based approach to assess the situation and build networks of collaboration. Over the years, we have researched the impact of plastic at the ecosystem level and have supported initiatives on the ground in more than 16 countries. Our work has identified gaps in legislation and has supported circular economy initiatives through grants and technical support that help to develop new value chains. More recently, in collaboration with the IUCN World Commission on Environmental Law, we have engaged in processes towards creating a new international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution. Through the power of our union, through the power of IUCN, we have built the capacity of country negotiators. Furthermore, we have used our status as observer to the United Nations General Assembly to highlight two things: the need for coordination between the different laws and frameworks that already exist today, and second, the need to include nature and biodiversity within a future plastics agreement. But IUCN is a union, and we know that we are strong because we work together with others. That is one of the many reasons why I am grateful for the presence of Ant Group here today. Thank you very much, friends of Ant Group. As you might have noticed on the welcome walls of this beautiful pavilion, Ant Group is a partner of this pavilion, and I am truly grateful for their generous support. As you might also know, Mr. Eric Jing, Chairman of and CEO of Ant Group, is an IUCN patron of nature, a group of visionary leaders committed to supporting IUCN's mission through philanthropic and strategic support. I am particularly grateful to be here today with Ann's Group Chief of Sustainability Officer, Sabrina Peng. Thank you, Sabrina. To witness the launch of the Fight Plastic for Nature Action Initiative. Let me take this opportunity to give a few words about Ann Group. We at IUCN are pleased to count Ann as a strong partner that acts fast and acts effectively. An example of this is the Ann Forest Initiative, which engages citizens to make more sustainable lifestyle choices. Since it was founded 7 years ago, this initiative has resulted in the planting of almost 500 million trees across China, working with local communities to address climate change and biodiversity loss. I am pleased that IUCN is a partner of the Ann Forest Initiative, helping to measure the biodiversity and ecosystem services it provides. On a similar note, it is my pleasure to share today that IUCN will provide the technical tools and guidelines for these initiatives. Friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, partners, the Fight Plastic for Nature Action Initiative is an important step in our ongoing efforts to address pollution in our ocean. IUCN welcomes this initiative because the world needs collaborative efforts to tackle one of the most pressing issues of our time. Together, I know we all can drive positive change that benefits nature and humanity, that benefit all of us in planet Earth. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aguilar, for that wonderful opening speech. Now next, I would like to invite Ms. Sabrina Peng, Chief Sustainability Officer of Ann Group, to come up and give her keynote speech. Ms. Peng.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to just put my script away, say something I really feel this morning and also yesterday. So yesterday, I was invited to the ocean topic. And when I stand here, and I don't know why the beep sound, it's noisy. It's throughout my speech. And today, I run 10 minutes under the sunshine and find the gate. But luckily, the gate called Sustainability Gate. And luckily, there's no queue there, getting smoothly. And I know your experience. So what I want to say, challenge is everywhere. Just like tackle the climate change, right? Challenge is everywhere. The really matters is what you do to face a challenge. So as a digital platform, we funded in 2004. This year for Ann Group is 19 years old for this, not a fully adult, but it's already a grown-up man. So for us, on our road, never less of challenge. But we really believe as a digital platform, you have your strengths to really make the small and the beautiful changes to the world. This is one of our visions. So in this, under the guidance of this vision, we really believe to engage all the public, the consumers, to doing their low carbon lifestyle activities through our platform is really one of our missions. So not easy. We actually, originally this is talk about the 3 difficulties of all the challenge we are facing in this journey. But I'm going to talk about what's next. Because we are really lucky, although we have so many challenges, but we are so lucky now till this year, more than 650 million users in China, they participate in this Ant Forest project. This project is quite easy to understand. So if you take your green actions every day, like you take a bus instead of driving your own cars, you go to a convenience store. If you buy things, you use your own bag instead of ask the convenience store's plastic bag. So more than 60 scenarios of the daily consumptions can be calculated to the carbon you have contributed to the society. Then we give the green energy as a reward to you. So what this green energy rewards can be done, you can use this green energy to plant a virtual tree in our app. And one virtual tree planted, we will plant a real tree in the desertification area in China under your name. Very simple idea, but just this simple idea, more than 650 million users, they have participated in this program, and more than 475 million trees has been planted. So we are so lucky. We think with all these consumers, our users, and also the partners on our platform, and also like the institution like IUCN, we made this. But looking forward, what is the challenge? Because now, more and more users, they are using digital services. So, okay, that's really good because you're using digital services instead of you're driving your own car to pay your utility bills or doing other things or online shopping. They will save some of the energy money. But what is the next area we need to explore? I think it's a consumption. That's why Dr. Grasso mentioned the project we are going to launch together, because we see the power, the users, they can really influence the corporate, the companies. More and more brands, they're working with us now. Let's think, if all the consumers, they ask for more environmentally healthy products, this would totally change the game. Maybe in the past, to doing something is for the regulation, for the branding of the company, but in the future, it's your customers' needs. You need to really meet their needs. So that's why we are really happy to announce the Fight Plastic for Nature. Why we choose plastic? Because we believe plastic is the key issue here. So plastic is everywhere, even in the air, not only in the ocean. So even during the flight to Dubai, I saw a documentary movie in the flight. It's talk about plastic. It's like shocking me. Everything, everywhere, and it will never vanish. So this is really critical. So we are so happy. The first launch, we have the big brands like Starbucks, the IHG Group, Unilever, and RT Mart, a lot of big brands. They join us, they commit, and also they take real actions to reduce or maybe reduce the use of plastic in every process of their manufacturing, or they will develop more and more environmental friendly products to our customers. So I think this is the next stage, not only your lifestyle, but also your real consumers. When you buy something, you choose the better ones, the greener ones. This will change the game. So that's why I think Ant Forest needs to go to the next stage to drive deeper change. So this is our mission, and so we are very excited to announce this Fight Plastic for Nature Action Initiative in collaboration with IUCN. I believe with your professional, strong support, this will not only in China, but also going forward, and have more collaborations, partners, globally. This is our mission, and we believe if we hold hands together, we can work really far. If we work alone, maybe work fast, but not far. So thank you very much. Challenges everywhere, but I hope everyone will have a nice day today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Peng. Challenges may be everywhere, but when we all come together, we can overcome them. Inspiring message. And so now for our next keynote speech, I would like to invite Ms. Kim Hui-Nyo, who's the Managing Director at the Center for Nature at the World Economic Forum. Ms. Nyo, please.
It's really a wonderful pleasure to listen to Ant's latest launch around fighting plastic. right? The last time I met Sabrina, she was talking about ocean, and then today she's talking about plastic, and I'm really very excited that you're pushing forward with transformations. It's also very timely because right now there is the UN negotiations on the plastic treaty, right? Many of you will be following this very closely, and the ambition is high, and the hope is that negotiations can be concluded by end of next year. Right, so this is very timely initiative and a partnership between IUCN as well as N Group, and I want to congratulate you on that. I thought I'll make 5 points this morning, but I've also been told to keep it very short. So I'll just make 5 points with less elaboration, right? The first point is, I think we know what the problem is. Climate change, biodiversity loss, extreme weather events, collapse of ecosystems. We have a mega crisis that is interconnected and exacerbating consequences much worse than each on their own would create. Point number one, we know what the problem is. The second thing is we also roughly know what the targets are. Paris Agreement, and that's the reason why we are here, global stocktake. We are not doing so well, not progressing on track, but there's some good progress, and I think we need to push a bit harder. Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, 30 by 30 by 30. In case you're wondering why there's one more 30, it's really not just protection, but also restoration of degraded ecosystems by 2030, right? So the second point is, we know roughly what these targets are. The scientists have been very helpful in trying to help us quantify, and there are various standards and frameworks out there to help business, governments think through what they ought to be doing in order to chart the paths forward. The third point that I want to make is, and is getting increasingly clear, is that there are different paths to Rome, right? There is no one size fits all. Every industry is different, and every geography is different, right? And in fact, we also, in order for measures to work, it has also to be relevant to cultures, right? Which is obviously very different in different parts of the world. And I think that's something that we need to think about. Right, there are global roadmaps, but then every country, every company will need to look at how do I tailor this to make it work for me, right? So different paths to Rome, no one size fits all, right? And the more important point that I want to highlight here is that the future is to be invented, right? There are many paths to Rome, but the reality is that these paths, many of them are actually still not built yet. Right, and we need to get creative, right? If we would all sit around the room and say, okay, let's think about what changes we can do in a very incremental way, chances are we're not going to solve the problems, right? Because if we repeat what we've been doing over the last 50 years, for the next 50, we're just going to end up with bigger problems, right? Or even if we make slight tweaks here and there, it is not going to. So this process is not easy, and I want to emphasize the need for leadership. Right, leadership that is bold, leadership that is creative, that is willing to embrace some level of risk, right? But calculated risks, right? And when we talk to businesses at the World Economic Forum, it's very common that businesses say, look, there is an energy trilemma. I need to solve for energy security. I need to solve for energy affordability. I need to also solve for the environment, right? Point noted. But is there a solution that can address all three dimensions? I think the answer is yes. It's just that we probably need to think a bit harder, push a little bit more. And I think this goes back to my last point, which is the need for partnerships. And we know that private sector can go on their own, companies can do on their own, but we will be able to get there a lot faster, a lot easier, right? If there is this collective sharing of experiences, exchange of knowledge, public-private, it needs enabling frameworks in order to make it work, in order for scale. But on the other hand, the public sector will also need the private sector to step up, right? To be willing to do something that is a little bit more transformational. I will not go into the details, but these are my 5 points. Number one is we know what the problem is. We know what the targets are. We know that there are many paths to Rome, right? We know that this is not going to be an easy process. Right? Nobody says that you can wake up tomorrow and say, look, I'm going to change. No. Let's think a little bit more. Let's be creative so that we can actually address the last point together, which is partnerships, right? Really think proactively about partnerships that are usual, but also unusual marriages that could potentially help us move forward. And at the World Economic Forum, we were built 50 years ago, public-private partnerships to improve the state of the world. And I think more than before, we know that this is going to be very, very critical for us to also contribute to the global crisis. So I stop here and hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Neo. So one thing we've heard from all speakers today is that the challenges are big, they are immense, but we need partnerships in order to overcome them. And it's so fitting that we're saying this here at the Unite for Nature Pavilion, where we all unite under one common mission. Now, for our next speech, Dr. Sylvia Earl is not here with us today, but I don't think she needs much introduction. Everyone here knows Dr. Sylvia Earl, the legend of ocean conservation. And so she is also the explorer in residence at the National Geographic Society, in addition to all the many other things that she does. And I would like to invite us to watch the screen as we play her video.
Greetings, patrons of nature, and all of you conservation champions. I'm Sylvia Earl. I'm an oceanographer. I'm a National Geographic explorer, founder of Mission Blue, IUCN patron of nature, and if you think about it, like all of you, I am a sea creature. Everyone is. Everyone, everywhere, is connected to the sea with every breath you take, every drop of water you drink. Think about it. No blue, no green, no ocean, no life. Astronauts returning from space, they're eager to share their perspectives, what they learn from the experiences they are privileged to have from being high in the sky, looking back on the blue miracle that is our home, a safe haven for life, suspended in a beautiful but fiercely hostile universe. As an ocean scientist, I've been privileged to witness the blue of the earth from within, exploring and living in underwater stations, piloting submarines below where sunlight penetrates, getting to know the faces, the personalities, the habits, the individuality of sea creatures, barracuda, tunas, moray eels, grouper, octopus, tiny damselfish, and giant whales, insights that mirror what's been learned about chimpanzees, orcas, elephants, ravens, owls, bees, and spiders, wildlife on the land. In the 1950s, I was privileged to explore an ocean that no longer exists. Since then, about half of the coral reefs, the mangroves, the kelp forests, and seagrass meadows have disappeared, along with the unprecedented loss of biodiversity by the ton. Many kinds of globally marketed sharks, fish, mollusks, and crustaceans have declined by more than half, consumed for fine dining by humans, for products, and as a source of groceries for perplexed pigs and chickens and cows that don't naturally dine on squid, krill, or fish, but it is fed to them. In a few decades, as hundreds of millions of tons of wildlife have been removed from the sea, hundreds of millions of tons of durable, toxic trash have been added to the ocean. Plastic cups, bottles, bags, massive nets, lines, and traps made of petrochemicals that simply did not exist when I first began exploring the ocean. But it's now estimated that 11 million tons of plastic enter the environment annually, and it doesn't go away. Synthetic fishing nets and lines that were discarded or lost at sea 50 years ago, they're still out there, catching and killing fish, turtles, whales, and seabirds. Millions of animals die inadvertently every year, unintended victims of plastic trash. There are natural gyres in the ocean where currents have swept together large concentrations of plastic trash encompassing areas as big as entire countries. Plastics are infused in the tiny bodies of zooplankton in the stomachs of fish, whales, turtles, and in us, in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. Humans are the cause of this new menace to the habitability of Earth, and we're also the solution. Whales are really intelligent, but they cannot fix plastic pollution. We can, and we must. Recently, Nairobi hosted the third session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee for the development of an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, including in the marine environment. Its ambition is to end plastic pollution by 2030. Addressing the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and the threats posed by plastic pollution require strong international legal responses. But while waiting for laws to be enacted, we can take action. Everyone can make a difference. The initiative led by the Ant Group will work with partners from the private sector, supported by IUCN's technical expertise. It will reach hundreds of millions of citizens, will raise awareness, and inspire a sense of urgency about the impact of plastic pollution. In my lifetime, humans have succeeded in making Earth increasingly less habitable, largely based on actions that, at the time, seemed to be good ideas. There is time, but not a lot now, to heal the harm, to respect the ocean as the blue heart of the planet, driving climate and weather, shaping planetary chemistry, and making possible the existence of life on Earth. Congratulations to Ant Group on the launch of the Fight Plastic for Nature initiative that will make a measurable difference in eliminating plastic trash. I wish you success and thank you deeply for your engagement in keeping the ocean healthy and, in doing so, maintaining the health of life on Earth, humans very much included.
Hi there. Okay, great. It's on now. So, everyone, now we're going to move on to the next section, which is a panel discussion. Now, first off, I'd like to invite Ms. Portia Sin, who is the moderator. She's from Ant Group, the head of strategic partnerships. Where will you be sitting, actually? All right, fantastic. And for our fellow panelists, could I first invite Mr. Wei Liu, head of ESG strategy at Alibaba Group, up? Please sit down, take a seat. It's free and easy. You can sit anywhere you want. Okay, great. And next we will have from Nestle, Ms. Antonia Wang, who is the group head of ESG and sustainability strategy and deployment. Thank you very much. And lastly, but most definitely not least, from IUCN, we have Mr. Joao Sousa, who is the senior program manager. Now, please, may I invite as well everyone who is currently sitting on these very comfortable looking couches to put on the headsets. And yes, it's being done. All right. It looks good, yes. And while we're waiting for the setup to complete, I'd just like to let everyone know as well that because we were a bit delayed when starting, we will unfortunately have time only for like one question per panelist. But we hope that this still enables us to share our different perspectives. All right,
Is it okay now? Hello, hi. Oh, thank you so much for staying with us. And since we have very limited time, so we will ask each panelist just one question for this round. We're really sorry about that. Ladies first, probably. I will start with Antonia. What our question would be: what specific initiatives or projects has Nestle undertaken to accelerate actions on nature and climate?
Thank you. Well, if we started with our commitment, we have a few commitments out there. Let me just take the two big ones. The one is to be net zero 2050, and then by 2025 having our greenhouse gas reduction of 20% achieved. And then the other one, as we were speaking about plastic, it's reducing virgin plastic by 1/3 by 2025 as well. So it started with these big public commitments, but then how do we fill them? Of course, we want to progress. So there are, again, two big areas of projects, but all under one headline. And the headline is working with nature, for nature. So that is because we buy a lot of ingredients. It's regenerative agriculture, really pushing that, advancing it. And the other one, when it comes to packaging, is above all having less packaging and really less plastic packaging, reducing. And then use more recycled material and after all also really be very active in the waste collection. But the first thing is less is more.
Yeah. This year we've been to visiting Nestle's headquarters. We learned so much from Nestle, and we definitely look forward for partnerships with Nestle in China and worldwide. Next question, I would start with Mr. Liu Wei, head of ESG strategy of Alibaba Group. Similar question. So how has technology played a role driving climate change and promoting green development in Alibaba ecosystem?
Oh, thank you. We had our green strategy from 2 years ago, and later developed into our ESG strategy. We had a slogan for sustainable technology for responsible technology for sustainable future. And we've been thinking about what exactly is that, right? Responsible and sustainable technology. I think there are threefolds. First, I actually would say, it's intermediate technology. In many cases, we don't need super technologies to solve the problems. Especially there are a lot of traditional technologies out there. And looking at some of the architecture here, they use intermediate traditional technologies. It's also culturally sensitive. And second one is we have to make new technology sustainable. For example, our data center, we use 50% of the energy that we use are already clean energy. That's an increase from 20% last year to 50% this year. And in the meantime, we try to apply technology, AI, into sustainable uses. We're working with some professor using large language models to look at LCA analysis, because it's very tedious. But now with large language model, you can do that fast. And the third one, I would say, is nature for technology. 2 weeks ago in the Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund, every year we have that in Hong Kong. One of the top 3 is a technology inspired by ants in the Saharas. They can dissipate heat in very hot weather. So one of the groups actually tried to develop a paint that you can put on top of the building that they can make the building less heat up during the summers. So in that way, I think these are all the things we're not yet applying all of them yet, but we are very keen to understand the whole landscape and see how we can do about them.
Wow, very impressive. Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving to Juan. How has IUCN, could you share some specific examples on initiatives or projects that IUCN have undertaken to address plastic pollution and promote plastic reduction? Because we are a strong partner on this launch of Fight for Plastic.
Yes, thank you, for sure. So very briefly, we started 10 years ago trying to understand, following the you cannot manage what you cannot measure. We try to understand how much. So that was the first point. Together with UNEP, IUCN developed a quantification hotspot methodology that we bring to any country. This was trialed in 38 countries now. So we get the plastic profile of that country, how much we consume at household level, company level. So we have that plastic profile, which is the first tool. The second we try to understand is, of course, it's an issue when you have plastic waste in your composition of waste, and waste normally degrades in a landfill, but plastic waste does not. So what do you do with it? So we developed a tool called Deplastify that gives you all the types of transformation you can get, the cost benefit, and it's well developed, but still needs some tweaking. It's our second tool. And the third one, it's also in development now. It's in plastic, which is how do you transmit an information that the cost of impact is too high to maintain? Meaning that if I can come to your country and have a conversation about the fact that mismanaged plastic waste will lead to this type of financial impacts because of biodiversity loss, fishy loss, tourism loss, you name it, all of that as a value. So as an opening speech, when I address this in a meeting and I say, you lost the capacity last year to build 1 hospital and 4 schools. And it goes like, where from? Well, from the money you lose by mismanaged plastic. So this is a discussion opener. So try to understand and measure how all these impacts can actually translate into financial loss. So these are mainly the 3 tools that we're using now. And then, of course, we have no time. We have amazing projects running from all the way from Pacific to Caribbean. We did research in the Arctic. We're trying to understand what happens with high concentration of plastic in the formation of ice. And yeah, we have a lot of science that put into our program so far, and we are happy with the results we've got so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Again, really apologize for the limited time, and I think next I will hand it to Jose for the next session. And thank you so much for the panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, we are almost at the end of our session, and for that, I would like to invite Dr. Greta Aguilar and Ms. Sabrina. Okay. So we're almost at the end, and I would like to invite Dr. Aguilar and Ms. Sabrina Peng up to the stage first. We will take a picture. Yes,